Hello everyone. I'm here to present economics classes for class 12th, and today I'm going to do chapter market form, which is chapter 9 of your book. Okay. Now today we are going to do the chapter market form, which is chapter market form, and this is part of your second term syllabus. Now, this chapter, the first thing before I start this chapter is the content of the chapter. This chapter has many things in the book, okay? But only I'm going to do only that is included in your 2021 board exam. Okay, in this chapter you have elaboration of the various forms of market, but in your syllabus you have only perfect competition and imperfect competition, and that is also under imperfect competition you have monopoly, monopolistic, oligopoly, duopoly, monopsony. There are many, but you need to know only elaboration of monopolistic market and oligopoly market. Clear? So before I start this chapter, you need to know that you need to focus only on the points which is important for your board exam. Now let's start the chapter. Now this chapter, if you look into your book, you'll find that the first thing that is in the chapter is the definition of the term called market. Now what do you understand by market? Look into the board, please. In the I gave the definition with an arrow, that what do you understand by market. Now market is a situation where buyer and seller exchange their good. Okay, buyer and seller exchange their good. Now what type of goods? The seller is to sell their goods, and the buyer, they buy the goods in return of money. So market is a situation where buyer and seller exchange their goods. Now if you look into the board, you'll find that I made a box where in one part I wrote perfect competition, and in another part I wrote imperfect competition. Now these are the two form. Okay, I elaborated it. Okay, perfect and imperfect competition. Now under perfect competition you don't have any subdivisions. So just what do you understand by perfect competition? But under imperfect competition you have different type of markets. Now first let us deal what is perfect competition. Now perfect competition is the very most important form of market. Now what do you understand by perfect competition? Now perfect competition is a market structure in which there are large number of buyer and large number of seller, and the producers, okay, the firms, they produce homogeneous product so that no individual firm can influence the price of the commodity. Now in order to understand what I said, you need to focus on the features. Now look into the features. The first feature what I wrote is that in this market there are a large number of buyer and seller. Now what do you understand by large number of buyer and seller? Large number of buyer and seller means like there are large number of buyer and seller of the commodity under perfect competition. That means under perfect competition, okay, there under perfect competition there will be large number of seller who sell the same product, and there will be large number of buyer who will buy the same product. Okay, now if you go to the second point, second dot, homogeneous product. Homogeneous product means identical product. Okay, so all the firms under perfect competition, okay, all the firms under perfect competition produce homogeneous or identical commodities. Okay, so the firms who falls under perfect competition, they always go for selling identical products. They don't go for producing or selling unique product. They sell only those products which are identical. Okay, next if you go to number 3, you'll find freedom of entry and exit. Now what do you understand by freedom of entry and exit? It is not the consumer who enter into the market. I am telling about freedom of entry and exit of firms of different sellers. Now this perfect competition is characterized, okay, by freedom of entry and exit. What does that mean? That means that new firms are free to enter the industry and start producing if they wish. Okay, and they can exit the firm also. They are free to cut down the production and can leave the industry whenever they want. That is called freedom of entry and exit. Clear? Go to the fourth point. The fourth point is uniform price. Now what do you understand by uniform price? Uniform price means, I told you the products are identical. Since the product are identical, they cannot charge any price they want. They have to charge same price for the same product. That is called uniform price. Uniform price means same price. Clear? If you go to the fifth point, price taker. What does that mean? Price taker means since in perfect competitive market, there are large number of buyer and seller, and all the seller are selling identical product, so they cannot charge any price. Okay, they cannot charge any price of their product, since they have to charge the price what market has decided for them, and therefore they are price taker. They are not price maker. They cannot make their own price. They have to accept the price what market is deciding for them, and therefore firms under perfect competition is a price taker. Clear? And the last point is perfect knowledge. What do you understand by perfect knowledge? Now, these consumers, firms, and resource owner under perfect competition have perfect knowledge about the market condition. Understood? They know everything about market. Each firm knows the price prevailing in the market, and it would not sell any commodity at a price below and above the market price. Understand? Everyone, the buyer also, the seller also, they have perfect knowledge. So they cannot charge any price from the seller. They cannot even lower, they cannot even higher the market price. Clear? So this is perfect competition. Clear? So perfect competition is the market where there are a large number of buyer and seller, and all the seller are selling identical product. There are freedom of entry. Anyone anytime can come inside and go out of the firm. Understand? The firms can enter into the industries. The price they charge should be uniform price. They are the price taker, not the price maker. And under this perfect competitive market, everyone have the perfect knowledge about the market, about the rate that exists in the market. Understand? So this is perfect competition. Clear? Next you have in this chapter is imperfect competition, which is the second form of market. Now what is imperfect competition? Imperfect competition means it's a market form, okay, where you don't have same as the perfect competitive market. Okay, now under imperfect competition you have many forms of market. You have, see, I have underlined the thing. You have monopoly, you have monopolistic market, you have oligopoly market. Other than this, you have monopsony, you have duopoly. Okay, you have many forms of market, but in your syllabus you have only monopoly, and you need to know only the meaning. I wrote only meaning. You need to know only the meaning. You need to know elaboration of monopolistic market and oligopoly market. Other than this, nothing is needed for 2021 exam. Now, what do you understand by monopoly? The first market under imperfect competition. Now, what is monopoly? Now, monopoly is a market structure in which there are single seller. Okay, only one single seller. Okay, but you have many buyer, and the single seller is the sole producer of the product, and that product doesn't have any close substitute, and therefore under monopoly the firms can charge any price. So they are price maker. They can make their own price. Understand? And the product that they sell is very unique, which does not have any close substitute. Therefore you'll find the price of Adidas shoes, Reebok shoes, Puma, all those, the products, okay, the prices of those products are very high. Why? Because such firms belong to monopoly market. Their product doesn't have any close substitute, and therefore they can charge any price they want from the consumers. Understand? So monopoly, what is monopoly? Monopoly is a market structure in which there exists only one single seller who is the sole producer of the product, and that product doesn't have any close substitute. Understood? So you need to know only the meaning of monopoly. Go to the second underline, and the second point is monopolistic, and this is the second market under imperfect competition. Now what is monopolistic market or monopolistic competition? Now monopolistic market is a form of market in which there are a large number of sellers of a particular product, okay, with each seller selling somewhat differentiated product but close substitute of the product sold by other seller. Understand? Here you have large number of buyer and seller. Undoubtedly you will find the first feature. The first feature is there are large number of buyer and seller, but the second point is differentiated product. That means the differentiated product means the product are somewhat differentiated but close substitute to the product sold by other seller. Okay, now move into the feature. You'll find the first feature, if it is clear. The first feature is there are a large number of buyer and seller. Okay, now the first characteristics of monopolistic is that there are a large number of buyer and seller, but it is not as large as perfectly competitive market. Clear? Number two is differentiated product. Now, what do you understand by differentiated product? Differentiated product means the product are a bit different, okay, a bit different from one another, but they have a close substitute to the product sold by other seller. Now, this product differentiation is the key element of monopolistic competition. Okay, under this market, firms produce differentiated product. Clear? Now, each firm produce a product that is somewhat differentiated, okay, but it is not entirely different. Slight closeness is there. Clear? So this is differentiated product. Go to number three. Number three is selling cost is involved. Now before you understand selling cost is involved, what is selling cost? Now, selling cost is the expenditure incurred by the firm to promote its product. Now, what do the firms do? The firms go for sale promotion, like they hire a salesman, okay, or they go for advertisement in the TV. These are called selling cost. Now, under this market, under this monopolistic market, you will find that selling cost is involved. That means that in this market, under monopolistic competition, in order to compete with each other, they incur selling cost, okay, through some sale promotions of their product and etc. Clear? Selling cost. Number 4, free entry and exit of firm. Now, monopolistic competition, like perfect competition, is characterized by freedom of entry and exit from the market. There are no restriction on the entry of new firm. New firm cannot enter. There is freedom of entry in the sense that new firms are free to produce close substitute to the product produced by others, but with a different brand name. They cannot use the same name. Understand? So this is free entry and exist. And the last point is independent price policy. What do you understand by independent price policy? That means the firms under perfectly competition can follow an independent price policy. They can make their own price. They can take the decision what the price they will decide, and the output also they can decide how much they can produce. Okay, this market can influence the price of the product to some extent. Okay, the firm under perfectly competitive market is a price maker for its product. For their own product, they are price maker. Clear? So they can make their own price. That means they have independent price policy. This is monopolistic competition. Clear? Oligopoly market. What is oligopoly market? Oligopoly is a form of market structure, of course, in imperfect competitive market. Okay, it is that form of imperfect competition in which there are few firms selling a product, so that there is intense competition among them. Okay, so the main feature of oligopoly market is that there is intense competition among the firm. There are various firms under oligopoly market. Now, among those firms, there is intense competition. Okay, and this is the first feature of oligopoly market. Understand? So every firm, okay, they keep a close watch on the action of the rival firm. It is always busy in preparing an appropriate strategy to deal with the rival firm. What the rival firm will do? They will always have a keep a watch on them. Okay, so they always have an intense competition among the firms under oligopoly market. Number 1. Number 2, as like monopolistic, they involve selling cost. That means in order to promote their product, they incur some cost. Selling cost is involved. Number 3 is interdependence. Okay, that means under oligopoly market, there is interdependence of firm in respect of decision making. In case of decision making, they can decide their own price policy, output policy, everything. So that is interdependent. Next, you have barrier to entry. What do you understand by barrier to entry? The existence of oligopoly in the long run necessitate the existence of effective barrier, okay, to the entry of new firm to the industry. In absence of this barrier to entry of new firm, the oligopoly may not retain its characteristics of a few seller in the long run. Understand? That means any firm cannot enter into the oligopoly market. There is barrier to entry. Okay. And the last is homogeneous product. You will find homogeneous product. Now what is homogeneous product? This is the nature of the product. Under oligopoly market, okay, they can produce either homogeneous product or differentiated product depending on the nature of the product. They decide they can either produce a bit different product or they can produce a bit homogeneous product. It totally depend on the firm. Clear? So this is oligopoly market. Clear? So this is the glimpse of the chapter. So this is the glimpse of the chapter. The chapter starts with a definition of market, and we have seen that there are two forms of market, perfect and imperfect. Under imperfect, you have these three market in your syllabus. So you need to know the feature of perfect competition, the feature of monopolistic, and the feature of oligopoly. And this is the end of your chapter. Hopefully this will help you. Thank you.